Welcome to qiphyedu. Today we'll be looking at computer science, A2 level, paper 31, May-June 2022. Alright, let's start. Okay, so for the first question, it says data types can be defined using pseudocode. The data type library record is defined in pseudocode as the code on the bottom. A variable library book is declared in pseudocode as declare library book library record. And A, we need to write pseudocode statements to assign A-level computer science to title of library book, false to fiction of library book. Right, so what we do here is we just take this thing, okay, we just write it down, put a dot at the back. We need to assign it to title of library book, so we just put dot title and then an arrow and then inverted commas. This one we need to have two commas because it's a string. So A level computer science, closing inverted commas, and then we need to assign false to fictional library book, so library book dot fiction be false. Okay, then B, the type definition for library record is changed. The value for number of copies must be between 1 and 10 inclusive. Write the updated line of pseudocode from the type definition of library record to implement the change. Okay, so we need to declare number of copies. We need to change number of copies by doing this. The 1 to 10, so 2 dots on the bottom, like such. And for 2, it says each copy of every book is now uniquely identified by an accession number as it is added to the library. Each library record will include one or more accession numbers. Each accession number is an integer. Write the extra line of pseudocode needed in the type definition of library record. So what we do here, we just add one more declaration of variable in here. So here just put declare accession number. This one is an array. The upper boundary, the lower boundary will be 1. The upper boundary will be based on the number of copies, because number of copies here is already limited to 10, but we just follow the number of copies. Because now every book would be identified by the accession number, so it will be based on the number of books in the library. So the upper boundary will then be the number of copies. And it says in integer, so array, the lower boundary, upper boundary of integer. Okay. Then C, a record is a user-defined composite data type. Explain what is meant by a user-defined composite data type and include an example of another user-defined composite data type. Right. So user-defined composite data type is a data type constructed by a programmer that references other data types. So for example, if you go back to the top here, this thing here is an example of a user-defined composite data type, because you're now declaring a new type, which is library record. Inside here, it references all other already available data types, which is string, boolean, and integer. So this is an example of a user-defined composite data type. If it's a non-composite data type, then it will be something like this. Let's say type ABC equals to bracket 1, 2, 3. This would be non-composite. So if it's composite, it will reference other data types, which would be the one that I showed just now. Alright. So you go back here, right? We now need to include an example. One example would be, it could be record, it could be set, but record is already given, so it's a class or a set or an object. So one example is class. Alright, this is an example of a user-defined composite data type. Okay, let's move on to 2. I'm just going to scroll to the bottom. Let's see the question first. More facts are to be included. A caracal is a wildcat with short hair. Write the additional clauses to record these facts. Okay, so a caracal is a wildcat with short hair. So what we need to do, it says is we need to look at the 2 things here. One is wildcat and one is short hair. So that will be reference to hair. Okay, so hair, bracket, caracal, and then wild. If it's hair, then it's short. Okay, so we put short. Then it's a wildcat, so it's under type. Okay, so just put type. Then we put caracal, which is the name of the animal, and then we put wild. That's the answer. Okay, then B, using the variable cat, the goal hare cat medium returns cat leopard cheetah savannah. Write the result returned by the goal hare cat long. Okay, so hare cat long. So we know here that all these are cats, and the only one that has a long hair is Persian. So what we do here, we just put cat equals to Persian. Because there's only one cat with long hair. All the others are either medium or short hair, right? Okay, C1, write the goal using the variable pet to find all the domestic cats. Alright, so to find all the domestic pet, what we need to do is just put type, and we put cat, we put pet, and then we put domestic. Because here, if you see on top is an example, you see it says it uses the variable cat. So you put cat in the bracket, but it's on the left side, and then the right side is where it says that you want the hair to be of medium length, I guess. And then for this one would be type. So we need to find the type of the cat, which is either domestic or wild. And now we need to find domestic, so we just use the variable pet on the starting of the bracket, right? This one, and then we put domestic. Then that's how we find all the domestic cats. And 2, we need to write the goal using the variable wild spotty to find all the wild cats with spots. Okay, wild cats with spots. So we just say spots. This one is wild spotty. We need to separate this into 2. Wild spotty, yes, and then type wild spotty, wild, to indicate that it's a wild animal. Alright, that's it. Then 3, data can be sent over networks using either circuit switching or packet switching. Describe both methods of data transmission, include a different advantage and disadvantage for each method. Okay, circuit switching is basically when there's one specific circuit for the data to be sent over. It uses the entire bandwidth basically, and then it's on the same route. So what we can write here is we just say it has a dedicated circuit. To transfer data. And you can say data is transmitted using the entire bandwidth. And all data is transmitted using the same route. The advantage of this one would be data will arrive in order, because if it's packet switching, data will be sent into packets, and then after it reaches its destination, the packets will then have to be reassembled, so it takes time. But in this case here, data arrives in order, so you don't have to take time to reassemble them into one single package. disadvantage is that it doesn't allow anyone else to use the same circuit because the entire bandwidth is used. If you remember back in the day, when you're using dial-up network, and when you connect to the internet using a telephone line, other people will not be able to call because your network is already using up the entire circuit. And that's one reason why when you're using the network, you can't call because you are using that telephone line to dial your operator to give you internet access. That's one form of circuit switching as well, dial networking. But then afterwards, when ADSL emerged and fiber optic networks emerged, this no longer became an issue because everything else used packet switching already. So yeah, back then when it's telephone lines, it's all circuit switching, and when you're using a telephone line to connect to the internet, it also uses circuit switching as well, which is why it uses up the entire bandwidth, right? Then let's look at packet switching. So this one we can say that data is split into packets because that's exactly what packet switching is. Split into packets and then sent through multiple routes, or you can just say send through different routes. And then packets arrive, packets do not arrive in order. Okay, then the advantage would be allows other people to use the it doesn't use up a lot of bandwidth. But then better advantage is that in case of issues with routing, package can be rerouted. Alright, but then the disadvantage is that one disadvantage with packet switching is that it takes time to reassemble packets. And then packets at the destination. And then another disadvantage is that you cannot use this for calling because if you use packet switching, it will result in packet loss. When it results in packet loss, the call that you get is the call that you receive would not be a high quality call. It will not be stable because you'll be hearing, maybe you'll hear bits of what the other person is saying because of the loss of packets. Because that may happen during transferring data, but that won't happen with circuit switching because there's already a dedicated line for circuit switching. Therefore, if you are using packet switching for calling, it may result in packet loss. That's why for voice over IP connections, it's more susceptible to packet loss, right, compared to circuit switching. So you can write that as well. Although the one that I said just now is actually not in the mark scheme, so the best one here, because it's based on mark scheme, is takes time to reassemble packets at the destination, right? Whereas for circuit switching, you don't have to do that because the packets will arrive in because the data will arrive in order. You can't use packets in circuit because circuit switching and packet switching are different, right? And question 4, reduce instruction set computers, RSC and complex instruction set computers are two types of processor. And describe what is meant by RSC and CSC processors. So RSC uses simple instructions. And they only require one clock cycle. And then for CISC, it uses complex instructions. And fewer registers. And then you can say that it makes use of different addressing modes. Okay. Then B, you need to identify two differences between RSC and CISC processors. RSC uses fewer instructions as compared to CISC, and then we can say RSC uses more registers as compared to CISC. And you can also say that RSC has a few instruction formats, whereas CISC has many. You can say that RSC has fewer addressing modes and CISC uses more. You can say RSC uses more RAM. You can say CISC uses less RAM. Yep. So you can write that as well if you want to. Right. And then for 5, part of a program's calculations uses the integer variables j, k, m, n, and p. We need to write the reverse Polish notation for the expression. So what you do here is put this plus symbol to the back, so it'll be jk plus, and then jk, then put the minus at the back, will be jk minus, and divide. Because by doing so, you know for a fact that jk plus will mean j plus k, and jk minus is j minus k, and then the divide would be in the center of jk plus and jk minus. Alright. Then B1, show the changing contents of the stack as the value of p is calculated from its RPN expression mmjk star minus star. Alright. So so here we know that m is 10. So we just put 10 first on the bottom of the stack. That'll be 1, then we put the second one, so on top. And then jk, j would be 3, then k will be 2, so just 10, 10, 3, 2, that'll be everything. Then we multiply, so that will be, when you multiply, you get, when you multiply, right, you're actually not multiplying, you're not multiplying m minus j multiplied by k in this case, you're multiplying the top two numbers of the stack, so it's 2 times 3, so you get 6, 10, 10, and then minus is basically 10 minus 6, so you take the larger number and you minus the smaller number. Actually no, you take the number on the bottom of the stack, the second bottom, and then you minus the number on the top, so that will be 10 minus 6, you get 4, and then you multiply them together, you get 40. And if you try to do that again here using this original equation, if we take 10, we multiply by 10 minus 3 times 2, you get 10 times 4, so you get the same answer. So we need to describe the main steps in the evaluation with RPN expression. So working is from left to right, as you can see just now. To write in the expression, push 10 onto the stack, followed by 10, 3, and 2. When the first operator multiply is reached, pop 2 and 3 and push the result, which is 6 onto stack. The other operations will be performed into the end of the expression. The other operations would be like minus and multiply as well. In C, we need to state two other uses of stack. First one is recursion, because you need to stack the numbers on top and then use recursion to get back your value. And then two, you can say interrupt handling, because interrupt you need to send your process to that stack to make it wait, right, before you can continue on. Recursion, interrupt handling. And then 6, a virtual machine is used to emulate a new computer system. Describe two benefits and one limitation of using a virtual machine for this purpose. You can say save costs because there is no need to purchase additional hardware. Okay, that's benefit 1. Benefit 2, you can say allows multiple operating systems and apps designed for different computers to run on the same hardware. Okay, but then the limitation is basically performance, because you need to use the same system resources to run all the operating systems, so less efficient because the same amount of system resources. System resources is used to handle more than one operating system. You can put examples as well. Example, RAM is shared between them. Right, this is one example. Let's say, for example, you were to share 4 GB of RAM with your macOS virtual machine, but then your main computer only has 8 GB of RAM, which means that once you allocated 4 GB of RAM for macOS, then you only have 4 GB left for Windows. So if you want to use your Windows operating system to edit videos or whatnot, it will be a bit of a problem because you have limited RAM. And Adobe Premiere Pro, for example, would require probably at least 8 GB of RAM to run smoothly nowadays. So the fact that you only have 4 gigs left to use would be a bit of a problem if you want to maintain the operating system and also to edit videos at the same time, for example. Right. 7, a program is to be written using object-oriented programming for a shop that sells knitting yarn. There are 3 types of yarn: acrylic, wool, or mix. Then the following data are stored. The following statements apply to yarn, and each type of yarn has a method that will display all the information about the yarn. Complete the class inheritance diagram to show the properties, methods, and inheritance. Okay, for acrylic, we need to know whether or not it's soft or not. So this one is Boolean, then this one is wool type, and then this one is percentage. So on the bottom here, you see already have this. So what we do is you just put in a Boolean expression, determine whether it's soft. So this one is Boolean. Then this one is for acrylic, right? We need to know if it's soft or not soft. We can get the yarn info, right? So this one is yarn info. Then for wool, we need to know if it's lamb, merino, or alpaca. So we just put material. Actually, yeah, not material, but wool type. Then we put string. Then for this one, it's yarn info as well. B, we need to describe what is meant by the terms properties, methods, and inheritance. So properties would be the data type defined in the class. So if you look at the class just now, actually not the class, but this thing, this is the properties. These are the properties. So the data types defined in the class would be the properties. The methods would be the procedures or the functions inside the class. That can act on the properties, because it will then use the properties, which are the data types in the class, to set the data to that particular area. Like, let's say, because you need to remember that for class, the attributes are private, so you need to use the procedures and functions to actually connect your data with the private attributes, basically. So this one is act on the properties. Okay, then for inheritance, it's basically methods and properties in one class. Made available, or you can say reused, in another class. So inheriting the original class, like your parent class and then the inherited one. Then for 8, a message is to be sent securely. Software uses a key to encrypt the message before it's sent, and give 2 reasons for key cryptography. You can say you can ensure that the message is valid or authentic, came from a trusted source, ensures that the message is from a trusted source. Ensures that the message is not altered. During transmission. Okay, and this one. And then give 2 methods of key cryptography that can be used. That will be symmetric encryption and asymmetric encryption. Okay, and for B, when there is a secure exchange of keys, the message is sent. The use of quantum cryptography is being considered for the secure exchange. State 2 possible benefits of using quantum cryptography. So quantum cryptography, the advantage is it prevents eavesdropping because it can detect it. And then you can say that very secure, as it uses longer keys. Or you can also say that it uses laws of photons, laws of physics to transfer the data. But it's not included in the mark scheme, so I'm just going to use these 2. And then for 2, it says state possible drawbacks, limited range, because it only can transfer up to 250 kilometers. Then the second one, you can say costly, as it requires dedicated fiber optic lines. And hardware, and specific hardware. Okay. Then 9, the address 500 contains the value 100 and address 100 contains the value 20. State the addressing mode and contents of ECC after each instruction has been executed. So this one is LDM, which is immediate addressing. This one is immediate addressing of the number 500. So immediate addressing of value 500. And then the content of the accumulator would be 500. Actually, we don't need to put value 500, just put immediate addressing. Okay, then for LDD is direct addressing. Then the contents of the ACC would be, it says address 500 contains the value 100, so this one is 100, and LDI would be indirect addressing. And the contents of the ACC would be, because it's indirect addressing, it goes to 500, and then it goes to address 100, so value is 20, hence the name indirect addressing. And then B, use only the given instruction set to write assembly language code to use the constant 20, which needs to be stored, add the constant to the value stored in the address containing the variable y, and store the result in the variable z. Okay, so for this one, use the content which needs to be stored, so this one is immediate addressing. So this one is LDM hashtag 20, then store, so store would be STO. So this one is STO. So it'll be stored in stored in stored in 20, so let's put TWE and TY. And then add this constant to a variable stored in the address containing the variable y, so indirect addressing of y. And add this constant, so add 20. And then we need to store in z, so this one is STO z. And then we'll get our answer. 20 would be hashtag 20. And then we have no idea what is y. We also don't know what is z, so yeah, just leave it like that. And then, yep, because like, let's recap a bit. So we need to write assembly language. So first we immediately address number 20 to the accumulator, and then it's stored into a place. We can just name the place, so we just name it as we just label it as 20 as seen. Then we need to add the constant. We need to add 20 to the value in the address containing the variable y. So we just immediately we indirectly address variable y, because if we do that, it will then basically address the address inside the variable. Then it goes to that address inside variable y. Then you can add number 20 into the accumulator, and then you store it in z. And then when you store it in z, that will be the final thing to do. And then you can then write out what is the value of 20, and what is y, and what is z. Basically, y and z you don't know, so you can just leave it like that, empty. Okay, so this is the end of this paper. I hope you guys find this video helpful. Do share this video out to other people who may need help with computer science A2 level. As always, I hope to see you guys again in the next video. Till then, this is qiphyedu. Goodbye.